All right, it is Sunny Sareen, the founder and president of Unified MMA, a Canadian-based company that is planning on some big strides in the very near future. So we'll talk about all that. But Sunny, I guess first of all, I mean, Unified MMA been around for about 12 years, I think, at this point. Originally just kind of exclusive to Edmonton. So I guess just talk to me about how you originally got into the game and kind of what the goal was with the promotion.
Well, we started in 2009. Obviously, combat sports was massive in 2009. I'm not saying it's bigger than it is now, but when we got in the game, there was the MFCs, the World Series of Fighting Canada, King of the Cage. There was 5 or 6 shows in Edmonton. So we did our first show kind of as a hobby, and like 100 people showed up because we were on the same night as an MFC night. And MMA is a cutthroat business, so a lot of people didn't like this new guy in town. And we just kept grinding and kept learning, and we just kept putting on small cards, and we weren't expecting big attendance. But cards were a lot different back in the day than they are now. So we just started out as fans like a lot of guys.
I was going to say, were you just a fan at heart that just decided you want to get into the game, or was this some huge profit strategy for you, or what was the initial expectations?
I was friends with Tim Hague. You remember Tim Hague? He passed away.
Yeah.
So him and I started it together, actually. And our concept was he was in the UFC. We wanted to see if we can make some money at it, but we were just fans. And it wasn't that expensive back in the day to do cards. So we started out as fans, and it just started getting bigger and bigger. And we started filling up small venues. And then we moved to a casino, and then we sold out the casino. And then we went to Fight Pass, obviously, what completely changed our game. And now we're just along for the run. We just love it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the big growth coming up here at the end of the year. But along the way, I mean, you found some names, Tanner Boser, KB Bueller, Tristan Connolly. I mean, a number of guys that have come through. I mean, I guess what has that been like for you to be a fan of the sport and see these guys kind of graduate to the next level and performing on the sport's biggest stages?
It's fulfilling, man. I'm a fan before my promoter. I love seeing these guys start. Like Tanner fought most of his fights with us, so we see him start as an 0-0 guy and fight tougher and tougher guys. And I see some of these guys that want international competition and they're prepared for it. And to see them compete at the international scale and do well, or whatever happens with their career, it's nice to see. And I'm just a fan, and I like to pay attention to what's going on with these guys, especially with Canadian fans or North American fans. It's exciting to see what they do on the UFC stage.
So you mentioned, the number of organizations that were around. Certainly, as you said, we've seen that change over time in Canada. There's not as many options as there were at one point in time. I guess, what do you think's been the key to your longevity and to still be operating when some of those other organizations have had to pack up and go away?
Well, MMA is a different game. In 2009, you could find ticket sellers. They'll fill in the room, and that was the concept. Let's just find local guys, put in the guys, and they'll fill in the room. That's not the case anymore. You need to promote your event properly. You have discussions with commissions, and there's just governing bodies, and there's so many obstacles to put on a show. So I think the more things, as time goes on, it's harder and harder to put on shows, and that's going to cut out a lot of the guys that just do it as hobbies. And whatever you do, if you're promoting combat sports, it needs to be your full-time job. And I work at this full-time, and there's no Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I'm on my phone at night, and we have a big team, whether it's like Ed Cap or Rob Beavers, our matchmakers, and our team collectively grinds hard. And I think that's the difference that you're going to see. You need to have a team, and you need to have a dedicated focus in the sport for it to grow.
Yeah, 100%. And now you're ready to really kick that growth to the next level, right? You've dominated the Edmonton market, but now you're looking for Canadian domination, right? I mean, this December that you've got going is very ambitious. December 2nd in Calgary, December 16th in Toronto, then back home December 17th in Edmonton. I mean, this is a big switch, right? Three fights in a month spread across the country. So I guess what fueled you to say, like, let's get wild and let's do this?
We're signing guys. It's a challenge for sure. We've never been in Toronto. We went to Calgary, and it was our strongest show to date. We had our strongest crowd. We got a lot of fighters signed in Toronto that we're bringing into Edmonton all the time, though. So we're bringing these guys in. Let's just see what we can do on their home ground. And one of the guys that really helped build Unified MMA is Shane Campbell. He's headlined over a dozen fight cards, and he's going to be headlining Toronto. So the fact that we have these Canadian icons almost competing at our level to go in their background, into their backyard and see what they do. They're going to help fill in the venue. People know them, and we're just excited, man. There's almost half the community in Canada is based in Toronto. You got almost 15 million people in Ontario. So I think just the demographics of the amount of fans we can reach in a province that large it makes sense for us to go in there and to really make a statement. I think we really need to be in Ontario. In Calgary, we got an impeccable fight card as well. And there's so many up and coming guys there. Same thing like Edmonton. So we're making an ambitious run, and we'll see how it works out, but we're really excited for it.
It should say, by the way, I love the matchup that you have for Shane Campbell. Not only is he in the main event, but you've got another UFC veteran in Alex White on the other side of the cage. So kind of, I guess, how do you find the balance with your cards now, right? Because it looks like you're trying to develop local talent, but you're also bringing some big names to the area as well.
Well, you have to, man. When you got a guy like Shane Campbell, who does he fight? We're lucky that he's local. It's a benefit towards the Canadian fans because he lives here. But the only guy he's fighting in is another UFC vet. His last fight, he fought Kyle Prepoluk, which is an impeccable fight for us. We had 2 Canadian UFC vets and was without a doubt the biggest fight card, biggest event we put on this year. Now we got Alex White. He's been in the UFC for years. He's got wins over some Canadian talent. I think he's got a win over Mitch Clark. Rob kind of put that fight together, and I looked at it, and I was just super excited about it because it makes sense, and it'll be a fight the fans really get to enjoy.
I love it. And it's great. You see those fights on UFC Fight Pass. You get to see those recognizable names. But also, obviously I do commentary for CFFC. I love seeing the regional talent kind of up and developing. That's always fun to see guys that make it to that next level, as we talked about earlier. So tell me what you got right now. I mean, are there any guys right now that you have pegged that you say, man, one more win, and I think the phone's going to be ringing for this one? Are there names that we need to be keeping an eye on in Canada?
We've signed a lot of guys recently that we're really excited about. We just brought back Justin Basra. He's 5-0. We just signed Urgus Segeta. We signed Bobby Poulter. We got Scott Hudson on this upcoming card. We got a lot of new and exciting names that I'm excited to see what they do over the next 2 years. We got a lot of guys that are prepared to go. Like we got Majed Hamill competing in our thing. I got Ali Charkey. We got a bunch of unique names. So the future of Canadian talent is unique, and I'm excited about it. Similar to what CFFC does, man. They are the gold standard in regional MMA, in my opinion, as well. And I think they put on quality production, quality fight cards, a quality broadcast. So what that really does is it actually increases the fan base, and people really get their money's value when they come in for a show.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you see this vision going, right? I mean, it's funny you mentioned it. I think back to the heyday of George St. Pierre and Dana White, saying this is the mecca of MMA, and then we saw it kind of tail off a little bit. But there's obviously still a lot of passionate fans. There's also obviously still a lot of talented athletes in Canada as well that were kind of born out of that generation, that were inspired by George St. Pierre. So where do you see unified MMA going? Ramping up in December, how does this carry into the next year and beyond?
Growth. That's what we're all focused on right now. Our team is getting bigger and stronger. Our broadcast team and everybody that's kind of working with us, they really want to see the sport grow in the country. And last year we did 4 shows. This year we're on par to do 7. Next year we're going for a dozen almost. We have 11 shows pegged right now across the country. And the following year, who knows, man? But the only thing you could do is go upwards, and we're going to try to keep expanding our grounds and what we're doing and put on quality shows, create more fans, build Canadian talent. And that's why we're here. And at the end of the day, I'm a fan. If you're not a fan of combat sports, you won't deal with the headaches because there's so many headaches. There's no off switch. Once you're going, you have to be prepared. It's like putting a puzzle together, someone coming and ruining that puzzle, turning the lights off, and you got to put it back together. And that's how I look at putting on shows. There's so many challenges, but in the end, when those shows happen, it's a fulfilling feeling to be at that show and to see it all come together.
Everybody thinks it's the dream job to play matchmaker, right? But like UFC President Dana White says, like bad things happen every day, and you're constantly just rebuilding and constantly just putting out fires, right? It's a tough job.
It's challenging, man. So I have a lot of respect for our new matchmaker, Rob Beavers. He grinds at this. We have 40 fights happening in December, and going from a time where we usually do 8 to 10 on one fight card, putting 40 together, and he's put all 3 fight cards are full now. And he's put together impeccable fight cards. There's UFC vets, there's prospects, there's veterans, there's everything. And he did a little bit of mix of everything. And to see what he put together on those fight cards, it was impressive. So I'm looking forward to December. 3 fights in 15 days is the first that's ever happened on the Canadian scene. So I'm excited to see the outcome because, as you know, this is a challenging thing for anybody to do.
Yeah, no question about it, man. Well, fun times. Well, look, it takes dedicated, passionate fans and promoters. You kind of got to be both to make this thing happen. So congratulations to what you guys are doing. I guess for anybody maybe that hasn't checked out the Unified MMA product, that maybe hasn't found it on Fight Pass yet, I mean, there's a lot of great content on Fight Pass. What would be your pitch to say, hey, this is why our organization deserves a little bit of your time?
Well, it's the future. Whether you're looking at Canadian fans or whatever you need, we're bringing in that kind of thing where that flair, where it brings in a lot of the future of Canadian MMA and current levels of UFC veterans. They're going to come in for a quality product, the great production, and it's well-matched fights. And that's what people want to tune in for. They want to see an evenly matched fight where they don't know who's going to win. And when you look at our fight cards, there's no lopsided things. We're looking to match these guys up, and whoever wins deserves to go to that next level. And if you're a true fight fan, that's exactly what you want to see.
100%, man. Well said. Well, awesome. Well, Sunny, I appreciate the time, and I'll let you get some rest because you got a lot of work coming up in December, man. So enjoy the downtime for now because you're not going to have much here in a couple weeks.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on today.